Welcome to another possibly ADHD-addled episode of Cinematic Anarchy. Just knowing Huh?
Welcome to fucking NPR. What's up?
I did not go into my NPR voice. You know my NPR voice. It is a lot more deadpan than that. Welcome to another episode of Cinematic Anarchy. You know, I can get really deadpan if I want to.
What the fuck is up, guys?
And joining us today, first, is our lost co-host, Miss B, who used to be here every single episode. Every single episode.
Things happen.
It's my fault, though. It's my fault for not hunting you down like I should have.
Yeah,
I should have just shown up at your door and gone, get out of your house, girl, and come over here and hang out.
Well, things happen.
And with us today, thank you again for showing up for the podcast. I've been meaning to do this Hitchcock thing with you for a while. From Hazard Valley Films, Benel.
Hello, Chris. Hello, B. Thanks for having me on.
I pronounced it correct this time?
Absolutely. Yes, you did. Yes, you did.
Okay.
I started the last podcast mispronouncing your name. And
I wanted to see how long that would fly until I corrected you.
Well, thankfully, I asked you before we started.
Yeah, thank you for that, Chris.
Can I have the correct pronunciation of your name, because I am well known for butchering names?
Benel.
Yes, you are.
Benel. Not Benel.
Yes.
Benel. Not Benal. Benel.
Benal was the thing that I kept.
It is.
On.
It is.
It's
not a common name, Chris. Like Chris.
Like Chris. Yeah, Chris is a dangerous name to have in public too. Like, you go to a Starbucks or you go to some place where they've got to call your name out. Yeah. And you call out Chris and like 12 people come up. You know, so it is good to have a unique name.
Well, B is actually also my nickname. Nico is my cousin's name, who's a brother to me. And Chris is my sister's name, but her full name is actually Chris Zerland. She was named after the country Switzerland, which my mom wanted a name, but my dad came up with the name and decided, well, let's go with Chris Zerland instead of Switzerland. So she goes by Chris, C-R-I-S, though.
That's fucking dope.
I love that. I really do.
Me too.
But her family calls her Zerland, or Z.
So, Miss Nico, I have not had the opportunity to fully introduce to you to this gentleman, and
I know.
So, for our listeners and for Miss Nico, who this is going to be a first time experience for, please tell everybody where they can find your work.
Well, we are Hazard Valley Films. We're short horror film creators. And you'll find us on YouTube under that very name, Hazard Valley Films, which I hope you guys just check out. We have 20 plus episodes already, or chapters that we've posted, and it's a lot of fun to watch, and it takes you to a different world. I'm also on Instagram under Hazard Valley Films. If you want to see our career, we love sharing our work with fellow horror film creators and creatives, just because, you know, we love the community. It's a fun community to have, especially this time of the year, you know, being Halloween. We all talk about, you know, great horror films, thrillers, things of that nature. And we posted our own stuff, our own creatives, to share our ideas and our storytelling. So please check it out. If you like it, subscribe.
Fuck yeah.
I know on my part,
it's a fun deal.
Do the thing.
And Piper's part, we both subscribe to you, and we're obsessed with like passing your links around to everybody that we know.
And that's so much appreciated, Chris. Thank you for always doing that, man. That's fantastic. You know, because we want to share our work. We want to share our creativity. That's basically why we do what we do, right?
Exactly. You want to make sure that you're sharing the interest, you're sharing your own creative spirit, and you're actually involving yourself with other people, which it sounds like you are. Recently, having been at the Northwest Flying Saucer Film Northwest, not Northeast. Northeast is my neck of the woods.
You.
Northwest is your neck
Northwest.
Of the woods. Maybe sometime Northeast.
Yeah,
get something into a film festival that ends up over here.
You know, I've seen some, man. I might have to check some out and see if I can make my way to your neighborhood there, Chris.
Oh my do a festival at the
That would be
fucking
nice.
drive-in?
Oh yeah, they got several festivals that go around over here. They've got drive-in film festivals, things out in Boston. I'll send you information. You can make a submission.
Please. No, seriously, like do so. Thank you.
Short film festivals all over the place out here.
Right.
It's a fun circuit to
Salem,
be in.
Salem, Massachusetts in general has film festivals out of one of their theaters like all the time.
I miss
So
fucking
that's
Chunkies.
Perfect.
where better to do horror films or short horror films than in Salem, Massachusetts, the home of the witches.
Spooky season.
The home of the witches. That's gonna. If anybody from Salem, specifically Farrah, actually listens to this podcast, she is going to drag me through the dirt for calling Salem the home of the witches. She is.
Well,
Because it's Salem Witch Trials, but
that sounds like a great title, Chris.
There
Home
were
of the
never
Witches.
actually any witches.
home of the witches. And we actually brought you on today to discuss one of my favorite Alfred Hitchcock films, and one that I admittedly have not watched in a little while. The
This is
Birds.
my first time around.
This is your first time around?
Yep.
I'm sorry that your first time around was the colorized version of that film. I really am. I had a black and white copy somewhere, and all we could do is find it on Netflix.
Yeah, it's colorized. You're right. The original was black and white, and now the Netflix version is exactly that. It's colorized. That's interesting.
Thank you, Ted
Right.
Turner, for colorizing all these movies that nobody wanted colorized. I did not need it in color. I did not need all the creepy people with piercingly, like, crystal blue eyes, which you know that they're not all blue eyes. Not every person in that film had blue eyes. That would be a weird casting choice.
Well, not every person in that film did have blue eyes.
Most of them had blue eyes.
There was a lot of white people.
There was, yes. Actually, yeah. Well, I mean,
Yeah.
1960s Alfred Hitchcock film. It's
Yeah.
definitely in Bodega Bay, California, of all places. So, what are your first experiences with that film?
Well, definitely saw it at a young age. I mean, I'm 49 now, so I saw that in my before my teen years, actually. And looking back, it 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 it, it kind of scared. I mean, you're 8, 9 years old. You're seeing birds attack in a school setting. Now you see birds differently when you're in school.
Yep.
So yeah, it kind of freaks you out a little bit, and then you get over that after a while, because okay, these birds aren't gonna attack me. But for a minute there, after seeing that movie, especially where there are quite a lot. I grew up in the Midwest in Iowa, and there were always so many birds, especially right before fall during the summer. They're everywhere, and you could see just flocks of birds going over our house almost every afternoon.
There's
It was
gulls,
intriguing. I wasn't.
pigeons,
Oh,
crows
yeah.
everywhere out here.
You name it. So
Dude,
it was
fucking
an
like,
interesting
during the winter,
feeling for a
like,
for an 8, 9-year-old in the back of your mind, thinking, are these gonna come attack you, or we just we just watch. So it was fun. It was fun experience, to say the least.
fucking like during the winter across the street from my house, that huge patch of woods when all the trees are fucking dead and shit, it's covered in fucking crows constantly. It's real spooky.
There's a tree right outside here. So where I'm living right now, it's an apartment building. I affectionately call the road outside of us the Haverhill Roadster drag strip, because so many loud cars go by on a continual basis. But the area where I live, up until maybe 3 years ago, there were trees on either side of us, and all these crows would sit in the trees at like 4:30 in the morning and just squawk loudly. And then the landlord cut the trees down, and now they're all perched across the street. My first experience with the film... Sorry, I don't mean to cut you off. I apologize. No. My first experience of the film was young. This is probably the second Hitchcock film that I've watched. My father, in his infinite wisdom, allowed me to watch Psycho at a young age. So... watching Psycho at a young age and then telling your teenage child, look, it's been too long since you've taken a shower now. Get back in there, go bathed. No.
Nope.
No.
Not doing it. I don't trust it. You can't make me.
Psycho, The Birds, and Jaws. They all had these things that, under normal circumstances, going to the beach and taking a swim, going into your shower to bathe, going outside and watching a seagull fly by. These are all innocuous things. Things that you don't think in the back of your head on a normal basis might hurt you. And so to have me, who was a skittish, paranoid little guy to begin with, and then you're showing me these films, I think maybe 11, 12 years old. And I'm watching Jaws, I'm watching Psycho, I'm watching The Birds, because my dad likes some horror films.
Yeah.
Not a lot that we watched together. I think we watched horror films. We watched BBC. We watched wrestling on occasion. So those were the three things that I connected with him on. And horror films, for me, scared the crap out of me. Imagine what me seeing
I like being scared.
Nightmare on Elm Street for the first time did to me. How much sleeping do you think I did for a little while after that? So yeah, it terrorized me as a kid, but it's memorable, and I loved the films. I've gotten into horror since then, like things that can scare you on a visceral level that normally you wouldn't think should scare you. Some of my favorite horror films.
Well, you mentioned Nightmare on Elm Street. Freddy was probably the horror character that I feared the most. And having mentioned that I lived in Iowa, we had a basement, and that long staircase led to a basement, and it was dark. And it was spooky. And I hated going down there because of thinking, Freddy Krueger was down there waiting for me. I mean, I was 7 years old, deathly afraid to go to the basement. Thanks a lot, Nightmare on Elm Street. Thanks, parents, for letting me watch that at 7 years old.
No more falling asleep in class, no more falling asleep in general.
No. Nope.
You know what else will ruin the basement for you? It.
Yeah.
It. I'm trying to recall if I had ever seen It. I don't know if I ever did at a young age. I think it was later on.
The original miniseries.
The first movies that really fucking spooked me were Signs.
Okay.
Love Signs.
Darkness Falls. With the Tooth Fairy.
Yep.
I never put fucking fallen teeth under my pillow again after watching that fucking movie. And fucking what was it?
Not sure. It's in your head, not mine.
It's in my brain somewhere. I can find it. Mimic fucked me up.
Okay, that's
a
good one.
Jeepers Creepers. I didn't want to go outside for a long fucking time after watching.
My boss was scared of Jeepers Creepers too. Jerome, my boss said that was one of the few movies that scared the hell out of him.
I've been playing a whole lot of Dead by Daylight. It's my favorite fucking horror game right now. And a whole bunch of people in the community want the Creeper from Jeepers Creepers as a killer in the fucking game. They're never gonna put the Creeper in because the creator is a fucking pedophile.
No. Okay.
Yep.
Oh, Jeepers Creepers?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Neither did I until I joined the DVD community.
That's sad only because he happened to have created the film doesn't mean that other people didn't put work into that film.
Exactly,
true, there is more than
still,
exactly. That's a good point.
Getting profits from the monetization through the game that when people buy the Creeper. And nobody wants to support
so
that.
He still owns the rights to monetization, to royalties for that. I get it then.
Nobody wants to. Nobody in the
there's a lot of films that
wants to support that.
Attached to Harvey Weinstein.
Yeah.
Nobody wanted to pay him for those things, and I'm actually thankful that the rights to Dogma, one of my favorite Kevin Smith films, he now has the rights back, and there will be a Blu-ray release of it next year.
Woo!
It'll be on streaming finally. They don't have to look for illegal copies through YouTube to be able to watch it anymore. Because I'd rather Kevin Smith be able to get the money for his work and not have to worry about it getting routed through whatever royalties have to be paid to Harvey Weinstein over the whole mess.
True. I think they're going to eventually separate those movies from him. And, you made a good point Chris about there are so many other people that worked on these films, and they shouldn't be punished for the for the behavior of one person, even though that one person was on top of the pyramid. So we should enjoy these movies because there were dozens, if not hundreds and hundreds of people that work so hard to make the movies that we love,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
That we love come into reality, and I'll always remember that, man. Just that's definitely a good point, dude. There's more than one person to create a film, and we should appreciate it.
To be fair, the new Jeepers Creepers movie fucking sucked royal ass.
You know, sometimes
So
sequels
bad.
are not exactly the best. It's just
So fucking bad, and there was no need to make a new one. And
Hey,
the CGI
did you
was
guys ever
garbage.
hear about the Jeeper Creeper scenes that was almost emulated from a Unsolved Mysteries, the one with Robert Stack? Did you guys ever see that?
no.
It was
I don't think
almost
so.
frame for frame. The beginning of Jeepers Creepers was almost frame for frame from an Unsolved Mysteries episode hosted by Robert Stack. And I saw it, I'm like, whoa, that can't be coincidence, man. That was nuts to
Oh my
see
god.
If you've got a link for whatever that was, if you can find a link for whatever that
Yeah.
was, I'd like to see that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
me
I'll
too.
find it and I'll send it
That
to you.
sounds really interesting.
It was a trip. I'm like, no way, because it looked pretty on point. It's almost as if the director saw that episode. Hey, you know what? I mean, I know, right? People use scenes all the time
Yoink.
from other movies, and they use it as an homage or they replicate it. But this one was kind of a trip because I guess he kind of thought nobody would know.
To be able to see that inspiration side by side with the creation that came from it.
Yeah.
I'll find it. I'll send it to you for sure.
Okay.
Do it.
So do a complete 180 back to the movie that we were supposed to be talking about.
Sorry.
Because I
What
think
was
we
it
were
again?
talking about the birds, if I'm not mistaken.
Always getting sidetracked.
I want to see if you guys can guess.
Okay.
This movie had a budget of $2.5 million to create this film, which is a lot of money back in 1963 money. How much money do you think this made worldwide?
Worldwide, wow. I mean,
it's going to surprise you. It surprised me when I read this.
Worldwide, I never saw the numbers for worldwide. I mean, is it nearing? It's got to be. I was gonna say over 100 million. Wait, Chris, is it 1962 money or today's money?
This is still 1963 money. Like,
okay, 1963.
We're talking the original money for the budget, the original money for intake, box office money.
18 million.
No. So,
I don't know. I can't do math.
This money did make, or it was 2.5 million to create the film. However,
he's covering the fucking paper that he has with the numbers.
So I can't cover it, like over here. However, unfortunately, this film only made $54,000 back in the theaters. However, this does have the accolade. It was released as a movie on television back in 1968. And for, I think, a little over 2.5 years, it remained the most watched television film to have been released at the time. I think it got bumped off by a movie called Love Story.
Okay.
So it won a lot of awards. It was nominated for a lot of awards. It had, I think, 3 Oscar nominations. However, just the box office release of it didn't make a lot of money. It's one of those films. So this makes it a cult classic, to say the very least. It gaining a lot of its following after the fact. And I think that Hitchcock's films in general, because they were of a nature that back in like the 60s, I think some of his stuff was released much earlier too, like 50s. Not like I don't know. I don't know when Psycho was released. I don't have all that information next to me, and I'm going to ramble. But I think a lot of his films tended to provide a lot of money to him, but because of the nature of his films and certain things being sort of experimental for him at the time, even like Psycho, they didn't make a lot of money back in the theaters, but gained a massive following afterwards.
Yeah.
Especially in the heydays of home video release. I mean, who doesn't love Psycho?
I miss Blockbuster.
North by Northwest, Rear
Yeah.
Window, Vertigo. These are
Yeah.
all like iconic films.
Which is funny
Things
you
that-
say that because I've seen some rankings where Birds isn't even ranked that high in terms of his best work. It's like more 10-9 ranked as opposed to, the top 5. So that's interesting. As good as it is, or as great
I
as
think
it
it's
is.
highly ranked via critics' scores, but I think like the money that he made back out of the film, it ranks probably one of his lowest. Even still, like I remember this film. I think this was my first Hitchcock film. I think Psycho was the second Hitchcock film that I watched, and then
Pretty sure Psycho was my first. My mom used to have this set of Hitchcock films, like a fucking box set, and I watched most of them. I don't
Your
remember.
mom?
Yeah, I know, right? Of all people.
Okay, your mom, the highly Christian woman,
Yes.
had Alfred Hitchcock.
She had a whole fucking set of Hitchcock movies. Like,
Okay.
they came in like a fancy little box thing.
I would have thought she would have shunned stuff like that. Like, no.
She doesn't like super gory shit.
I mean, I wouldn't say any
She
of his
doesn't
stuff
like
was
fuck.
gory, but like I would say that some of his stuff, like for kids, even through the 80s, like just sticks in the back of your head. There was a lot of PTSD that came out of his movies.
Yeah.
Okay, well, when Dan got his eyes plucked out in The Birds, that was pretty traumatic. If you're 5 years old,
Right.
6 years old, seeing that, and it was done so
but
well.
you can also see like his eyes closed through the fucking.
Now, when you're
shading.
5 years old, looking at it, like,
It was the first thing I
At
noticed.
5, yeah. Well, at 5 years old,
Yeah.
no,
6
you're
years
not making
old.
that connection yet. You're
All
not
you see
looking
is
for the how did they do that? Like, because a lot of the bird scenes, they were
Put like mesh cloth over his eyes, but you could still see his closed eyes under it.
I think there was one
remember, we
specific
saw it in
sequel
black
that-
and white.
True. Shading was different.
A little bit
Yeah.
different than, when they colorized it, so that's
They
that's spooky.
colorized it and made everybody
have
look
to rewatch
extremely fake. I want to go over it and just see how many people actually had blue eyes. And I honestly, this is the first time I can remember seeing Jessica Tandy this young.
Didn't Annie have brown eyes?
I don't think so. No.
Where's the fuck is my
She
phone?
may
I'm
have
going to
physically had
IMDb.
brown eyes, but I think they made everybody in this movie have matching blue eyes.
I'm
I
going
think-
to IMDb.
so,
Oh my god.
think
my
about
fucking
this,
headphone
Chris.
is falling out
When
of my
you're-
head again.
When you're converting a black and white film and you get the power to make it in color, it's like, what are we gonna do, right? Oh, let's just give everybody blue eyes. It'll shine. I don't know if they thought it through.
The
Like
eyes
blue
were
light just
freaking me
pops out a little bit, more, and especially when you're given the power of color. Let's
It's
not
like all
talk
the
about
kids
what
from
George Lucas did with CGI. You give too much power to somebody, it just
Right.
it just goes awry, right?
Ted Turner, I think he colorized way too many black and white movies. It wasn't necessary. I enjoy watching them in the original black and white the way that they were intended. I think just
Look at Annie.
right.
Those are not blue.
But in the film, her eyes were blue. They cut to her several times within the
Okay,
film.
maybe
and
her eyes
were
are blue because that black and white photo, fucking her eyes were in
Yeah.
like, I don't know, man. Fucking.
I think we got the Turner colorized version on Netflix.
Yeah.
And yeah, her eyes are not necessarily blue either. But like, I know she's looking up all of the actors and
Oh my god,
actresses
blue.
I don't think
to just were
Fuck
they all
off, I
blue?
will find
Everybody
brown
blue
eyes.
Was Alfred Hitchcock like, I will not hire anybody unless they have blue eyes. They have to have blue eyes, otherwise you're out.
Blue eyes are pretty striking, but
The blue eyes, they have to be like crystal blue eyes. They have to look like husky eyes.
that's not blue.
That's not blue, but they were blue in
Bird
the movie.
Lady didn't have blue eyes.
Exactly, but that was also a black and white picture.
Yep.
Bird Lady didn't have blue eyes.
We're gonna stop talking about your pictures now. Let's get back to the film. Put your phone away. Thank you. Now I can actually show people that you're scrolling through things while we're trying to have a conversation. It's nice.
I don't know what you're talking about.
If you're watching the audio, you're missing out on something. Watch the video, which we'll have posted up shortly after we release this episode. So, knowing you did not watch it earlier than yesterday?
Yeah.
You watched it growing up. I watched it growing up. How do you feel about the film now? Compared to what you watched back then?
I mean, when you're looking at it from an adult's point of view, sure, it's a little different when you're looking at it from a young child, a young person's point of view. If you compare it today, I think it holds up well. I think it holds up great. There are different nuances where you kind of question why. Why, when in the gas station, the gas station scene, did somebody not, logically,
Pick
right?
up the fucking
Pick up
nozzle.
the nozzle and put it back in. Why? There's just so many different things.
How did that guy not fucking see the giant stream of fucking? How did he not smell it?
I was gonna say smell it.
Right,
That's
smell it.
where I was like, why did you not smell that?
And they brought out the water hose to try to put out a gasoline fire. Things of that. Like, why? But you look at it now and you're like, damn. If you look at it from a point of view of 1962, that movie is a reason why it's a cult classic. It's fantastic because you know what? You don't know how people would react, right? During a situation like that. We were
today
not to veer off, but a couple years back we were staying at a hotel, and my wife, the alarm went off really loud at 3:30 in the morning, and we had a long day the day before, and we woke up. We're just like, I look outside the window, there's smoke coming from like the bottom portion, like literally fire and smoke coming out, like just 2 floors beneath us. And so we ran out, like, oh shit, let's just get our stuff, let's get out. And the first thing we did, we met up with other people that were in the hallway. We're walking through the hall, the elevator opens, everybody runs in the elevator. The elevator closes, and we all look like, why are we in the elevator when there's a fire? So the door opened on the next floor, everybody got out and went down the stairs. It was just like, instinctively, even if it was wrong, we all went to the elevator.
Everyone would have died in a horror
from
movie.
a fire in the hotel. And we're laughing about it now because, we got out of there. So I'm thinking, maybe in the birds, they just, who would have thought birds would be attacking, and decisions were just not. There was no clarity in decisions. When they're panicked. People make bad decisions when they panic. It's crazy. But yeah, I believe that Birds holds up today. Based on how it was made in '62, I think it still holds up really good, and I dig that movie. It's a great movie.
I think I enjoyed it from beginning to end.
Kind of makes me glad I don't have this place anymore.
A few things, like 5 things, right? There's a few things that I thought of, like, first of all, with all those birds flying into the house, the first thought in my head, most fireplaces, up until, I think even now, had a
door to shut.
A door, or they had a switch or a crank that allows you to close the flue to keep things out, like, especially, like, if it's birds, raining hard, squirrels, snowing hard, or whatever.
Snow,
so you'd end up with a bunch of crap in your house.
Yeah.
But obviously that wasn't a thought at that point, so I'm not sure why they didn't think. The guy just put a table that didn't exactly block the whole
and pillows.
Table and pillows, yeah, that was...
There was a scene, Chris, the scene in the school, right? Let me ask you this, man. Why in the world would you get all the kids, round up the kids, and make their way outside? Yes. Why didn't they just stay inside the school? Why didn't they just
barricade the windows and doors?
Exactly. That's another
Night
thought
of the Living Dead the situation, right?
Right.
Just
call all the parents and be like, hey, there's a situation and they can't get out of the building.
Like he did with the coat rack nearing the end of the movie, where he pressed it up against the door and he hammered the thing shut. That was the way that you should have handled the situation. This is the teacher.
Yeah,
she's supposed to be the intelligent one protecting the children.
Right?
No. All right, children, everybody, outside into the birds.
And only run when she said, run when I tell you to run. I mean,
they get outside and immediately start running and screaming.
They came out of the school screaming and running. So that's another one on the why did you do that list.
Can you wrangle the children in chaos? Like, under normal circumstances, getting them to
physically possible, they all immediately start fucking screaming.
Getting them to walk in a single file line has got to be difficult to begin with.
What?
Trying to get them to run in a single file line while birds are attacking their faces, no, it's not going to happen.
Forget it. Yeah.
It would have gone perfectly fucking fine if they just shut the fuck up.
Here's another thought. If you're going to run out,
them kids.
with a bunch of kids into an area where a bunch of birds are attacking, why would you not try to bring cover? Have them cover themselves with jackets or drapes or curtains.
The birds didn't attack when fucking homeboy was real quiet, tiptoeing around them.
Yeah, I that's probably the only thing that I had questions about.
Yeah, just shut the fuck up and move slow.
Why did the birds not attack at the end? They attacked the house to injure people.
Make it make sense.
And then as they're trying to leave, just because he's quiet. It wasn't the screaming that attracted them, I don't think.
I wonder if that was the way the birds were showing their
aggression,
dominance, and their power. Like, we know what you're doing, and we attack when we want to attack. We're aggressive when we want to be aggressive. But maybe I'm just looking
single
too deep
file.
into it,
I can pinpoint a couple of things like that I found sort of laugh out loud funny, but was there anything in there that made you laugh about the film?
I
laughed at a couple things.
Well, there was one where the lady was, what's the fastest way to get to San Francisco? And the other guy was like, the freeway. I'm like, what? That was his answer. Well,
what?
It was kind of an obvious. She said,
"I love it."
She wanted to get out of the dining. She wanted to get out of the restaurants and save her kids. But her question was, "What's the fastest way to get to San Francisco?" And somebody answered, "The freeway." I thought that kind of.
All right, can we go? Oh, you can follow me.
The freeway.
But first off, let me finish my drink. If I'm gonna die, then I want to die happy.
Die drunk and driving.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Right.
I think there was one thing specifically that made me laugh, and it actually, Spencer, my son, was in the room watching this with me. The very beginning of the movie where she's trying to bring the lovebirds to him, and she is weaving down the road.
Oh my God.
And as she's weaving, the birds are leaning with each turn.
Yeah.
Every turn, her fucking car is like screeching.
Right? It's like,
slow down.
Terrible driving.
Oh my God. And the fact that she just breaks into this lawyer's fucking mom's house.
Oh, yeah.
You know what?
What the fuck?
Can I just say?
You stalked him, you followed him to his mother's house, and then you broke in to drop off fucking birds? What the fuck?
Right.
That's crazy.
That is crazy. And another thing, Chris B, there was where she went to the general store, right? And she was asking about Mitch, right? She didn't know Mitch's name. She was asking about the sister. That general store clerk just gave up so much information.
Right!
As if...
Do not trust this man around your children. He will sell them.
Without asking, who are you? What do you want from, like, maybe
Why
I
are you
can help
asking
you?
about these children that you clearly don't know?
But
what are your intentions?
He gave up pretty much, short of his address, it was too easy.
These people are way too trusting.
It was too easy,
I love that interaction basically went, I'm going to walk into the store and talk to the store clerk, and I don't know a whole lot, and this store clerk should know that I don't know a whole lot by the questions that I'm asking, and then store clerk is going to be like, oh, you don't know a whole lot about this guy or his kids. Let me tell you who will tell you where his children are and how to find them and what her name is.
Exactly.
And where her school is.
It must have been so easy to steal children back in the 60s.
He even gave up Annie Hayward's
address,
house information. Like, I'm like, yeah, that was kind of a laugh out loud
at all,
right? Like, there should have been a scene where they're like, why? Just walked up in there. Why did you give this woman our information?
Right, and exactly, and like B mentioned, how did she just? Nobody locks their doors in this town because Annie was sitting down in her home reading a newspaper. The door opens up.
This bitch just walks in.
She walks. Is that you, Miss Daniels? Who else would it be?
You're just comfortable with people walking into your house, like, bitch. You don't know her.
This is definitely a
doing
town that wasn't used to locking their doors.
No, apparently not.
Trying to fuck your ex.
A less paranoid time. A less paranoid time.
But you know what? They were ahead of their time, though, Chris. You know why?
Weren't there
she
multiple
did a home
fucking serial
delivery,
killers
right?
going on then?
She did a home delivery of the birds from San Francisco. So she's kind of there in the the FedEx UPS. She was pre FedEx UPS. The rental room. She was I know they had bed and breakfast, but that was kind of like an Airbnb situation right there, right? Hey, you got a room for rent? Can I stay one night? I'm like, okay, you're ahead of the game, man. Somebody picked up on that.
Yeah, I mean, I get the delivery thing. I'm just thinking, like, this is under normal circumstances, like you were saying, this was very stalkerish of her. Like, some guy flirts with you.
Fucking insane. And then you go out of your way to use daddy's fucking connections to find this dude and travel.
Yeah. How easy was it for her to get
60 miles?
Oh my
2
God.
hours to fucking get to his mom's place and then break in, fucking drop off these lovebirds. You're insane and you need serious fucking professional help.
I think all the women in his life kind of needed a little help.
Nah, Annie was A-okay with me.
Annie was very overprotective, though. Like, you could tell, like, all the women kind of hated, was it Melanie? Is that what her name is?
Melanie, yeah.
They were not happy that she existed.
No.
At all. Like, Miss Hayward was looking like,
well, daddy gets whatever the fuck she wants. She's fucking stuck up and pretentious.
The woman that played Miss Hayward reminded me a lot of, like, Stockard Channing from Grease. She did.
Stockard Channing?
Just the attitude.
Sure.
Yeah, Rizzo.
Yeah.
Rizzo.
She reminded a lot of her from Grease.
She's like the opposite of Melanie. If we're comparing films, I feel like there's a parallel. I don't know if you guys ever saw the Robert Downey Jr. movie, Two Girls and a Guy. Do you guys ever see that?
Maybe.
I
have. It's just been a long time.
So that movie, right? The Two Girls and a Guy is Robert Downey Jr. His close relationship with his mom, right? And his kind of like failing job, and then these two women that didn't know. I just feel like there's a parallel there. If you guys have ever not seen Two Girls and a Guy, or if you haven't seen it in a long time, I suggest you'll kind of see kind of a similarity in both Miss Hayworth and Miss Daniel's kind of relationship with Mitch. I can see a little bit of that. It's pretty good dynamics. Kind of like
I've definitely seen the movie. It's been a while, so I will rewatch it at some point very soon. And then I'll tell you if I can draw a parallel, because I don't know if I can right now.
Yeah, no.
In the heat of the moment.
Yeah, I see where you're coming from.
By the way, I just want to travel back for just a second. I didn't mean to ignore your question about the serial killers earlier, but I genuinely don't know what serial killers were active in 1963. I don't.
Google knows.
Google knows? You're going to Google this while we're trying to do a podcast.
I Google things throughout the entire podcast, every single fucking time, bitch. You know who I am.
That's one of the things that we need. We need to have an on-hand information source, like somebody that sits on the other end of the computer and just feeds you information.
100. I like it.
Because I will be honest, I just did a podcast recently with Piper about the Resident Evil movies, and I don't know if I've mentioned this while we were talking already, so if I'm repeating myself, I'm sorry. But
the Moores murders.
We talked about the Moores murders. Okay. We talked about episodes or I want to say episodes 3, 4, and 5 in the film franchise of Resident Evil: Apocalypse, Extinction, and Afterlife. And we were talking about it, and there's 3 movies that I have no mental link for. So I can watch the movies, but I don't have that link that she has because she loves the video games. She's played all of them. I haven't played anything outside of the original 3, and even those were back on the original systems that they came out on. So it's been decades since I've had anything to do with the Resident Evil games.
Well, I've only played 2, 3, and 4.
Okay.
Fucking, I really want to play the rest, though.
So I want to play the rest of them, but I sounded like I'm not that old. I am only 47 years old, and I sounded like a dementia-riddled grandpa in that podcast. I was tripping over names. I was tripping over facts. I think that I said something to the nature of, I originally played Resident Evil on the original Nintendo system, and that's not what it was. It was the PS1 that it came out on.
Wow.
So my brain
Get
had
off my
checked out.
lawn.
So like I have to write a whole thing in the description for the episode. By the way, I was not drinking during this. I just genuinely did not know what I was talking about, and I did no research. So
I personally enjoyed the Resident. I never played the games. I enjoyed the Resident film franchise. My cousin, on the other hand, is a huge Resident Evil gamer, and he refused to watch any of the movies. I said, well, just try to separate. Like, no, I can't. I can't. I don't want to. I'm like, I, pure, like
purists.
Just
yeah.
I understand, but don't understand at the same time. But I enjoyed the Resident film movies.
They're nothing like the fucking games.
Right.
And
yes and no. They take
but couldn't you just separate
pieces, but like,
couldn't you just separate enjoying the game and enjoying the movies and still have both? Okay.
So I had a conversation.
It's not. It's the movies don't follow suit with the plot of each game.
I had a conversation earlier today. I want to see if either of you agree with me on this idea. So a lot of people, when it comes to movies that are adapted from something, whether it's a book, a video game, whatever, a lot of people will play the video game or read the book, and then they will go watch the movie. And those are the people that are heavily critical of the movie that they're watching because they have that frame of reference.
That's
they're like, okay,
I
read this book
books before watching movies.
Exactly. So I've started going the other way. I will watch a movie, and then I will go and read the book associated with it.
Exactly. Then,
especially if I enjoyed it.
With disappointment.
And I think that's how I'm approaching the Resident Evil movies.
I wonder if it's just kind of a. I don't want to say, Chris. I don't want to say elitist. I don't want to say elitist mindset, because if you watch, or I'm sorry, if you read the book or you play the video games, you have knowledge that most people don't have, and the casual fans don't have. So those folks like myself who maybe didn't play the video game or didn't read the book enjoyed Resident Evil because you said it. I didn't have that frame of reference. They look down on people like me that enjoy the films.
Well, here's the thing. Watching the Resident Evil films, now, mind you, I loved the first one. The second one and the third one almost completely lost me. I was like, love this one. This is not all that great. Oh my God, what's going on here? And then I got to the fourth one and it brought me back in. So it's like, okay, this is the beginning of the second half of the 6 films. It's a lot of films.
There's a lot of films.
There's three CGI animated ones too, which I'm holding off on doing because I don't know that I'm going to be able to get through that. Maybe next year. But now I'm really interested in picking up the original video games and start going through the remastered games and enjoying them. So I feel like if you enjoyed the movie and then you go and enjoy the original book or the original video games that were created out of them, you're going to get more joy out of it than going the other way around, where you get the movie or the video game and you play it and you absolutely love it, and then you realize, oh my God, they butchered this, or they didn't add this, or they didn't follow this.
Interestingly, I had a friend who would watch the last 20 minutes of every movie and then go back and watch it from the beginning with the knowledge of already what's happened.
Don't like that. I hate that. I hate all of that.
There are people that do that, right? That's a trip.
That's like reading like the last 2 chapters of a book and then going back and reading it from the beginning.
But
I don't like that.
He told me that he gets such a kind of a high off of it, knowing what's already going to happen before it happens, or knowing what's going to happen at the end, and then seeing them go through the process of finally getting to that ending, which is a trip for me. I've never done that myself, but I feel like doing that, maybe doing that for a movie one of these days and just watching the last 20 minutes and then going back and starting it just to see how, as a viewer, would make me feel.
You know what? That's a challenge. Here's what we're going to do.
I don't like it.
I don't like that. I'm going to invite you.
I don't want to do it.
I'm going to invite you back onto the podcast. I'm going to invite you back onto the podcast. We're going to pick out a movie, and we're going to watch the last 20 minutes and then watch everything from the beginning and see if it changes the experience.
I hate all of it.
I'm so down. I'm so down.
I'm going to have to invite you over to watch it because I know you're not going to follow that rule because you don't like the idea.
I hate all of this.
Come on, B. Let's do it. Let's do it.
I mean, I'm going to, but I don't like it, and I'm gonna complain the entire time.
Okay, so
Wah.
we've discussed little bits and pieces of the movie here and there. Are there any scenes or any actors or actresses' performances that really stood out to you in the film? This is a thinker, right?
Well, I mean, give it up to the birds.
Right, give it up to the birds. you know how many birds there were in that?
Too many.
Over the 3 years span that they created this film, so while it was released in 1963, they started filming in 1960. Over the 3 year span of them creating this film, they used a total of 28,000 birds.
Yeah.
3,200 of which were actually trained birds. So
That's
I think
a lot of birds.
A large portion of that $2.5 million budget was just trying to keep these birds wrangled.
That's a lot of fucking birds.
Possibly guano cleanup.
Incredible.
Yeah.
But
there'd be fucking rivers of bird shit.
Back to the original question, though. Is there anything that stood out to you in the films? The things that we haven't already talked about that you feel are memorable?
I like the little old lady that knows everything about birds and is like, I'm gonna act like that, you're wrong, and then fucking hiding in a fucking corner. And the world is ending, dude, and then takes another fucking drink. And laughing about it.
I don't know what her name is. There was one woman in particular that stood out to me. Outside of the main actors and actresses, is it in the diner or is it a bar? I'm not sure.
Diner.
Yeah, diner, okay. Bar, restaurant.
And that woman approaches Melanie and just accuses her of being cursed. Ever since you came to this town, these creatures were attacking.
Great bitch, fuck you.
And then I started thinking for a moment, is it possible that either her or the caged lovebirds giving off a certain pheromone might have triggered what was going on? They never explain it. This entire film, they don't explain what happened and why.
Right,
this
the birds
happened.
are just pissed off because they're keeping their fucking buddies in cages.
I think that's definitely the beauty of this movie, is the fact that Hitchcock never really explained why. And it's kind of, everybody has their own interpretation, right, of what it could be. So yeah, and then that lady you just spoke about, right? I love the part where she got bitch slapped by Miss Daniels. Right? That was, I was like,
right?
Damn.
Oh,
or the scene where Mitch's mom finds the dude that got his eyes plucked out, and she just,
oh, I'll tell you,
throwing all her shit around the house.
You know, Chris, yeah, there was one actor that got me, but not in a positive way, was the sheriff or the police officer, right?
Right.
No matter what anyone said, he was like, well, that's just, maybe the kids were just, they were just messing with the birds, and the birds, well, my wife once found a dead bird in the back of her car, when there's like 1,000 sparrows that went inside the house through a chimney. And he always had, they saw the dude's eyes plucked out and dead then in the room with all these evidence of birds coming in. But he may have been burglarized, and that happened after the fact. I'm like, dude, that drove me nuts, man. Like, this guy is just
what fucking burglar usually plucks out people's eyes?
It's like he had a reason for everything, and without seeing what was possible, that just
he was
drove
the
me
guy
nuts.
That provided the reason that got him out of having to do the paperwork.
To be fair, he is an accurate law enforcement officer.
It's an accident. Things like this happen all the time. And then now I don't have to do the paperwork because I've provided my own mind an explanation for why this happened that doesn't require me to do it.
Yep.
Yeah. That
lazy guy. All right. So now we've come to the portion of our podcast where we're going to do two things. First, we're going to go ahead and rate this film. We have a scale where we go from 1 to the Spinal Tap version of turning it all the way the hell up to 11. What would you rate this film?
4 or 5.
You're going to rate it a 4 or 5?
Yeah.
Okay, hold on.
Everyone was fucking stupid.
You got to understand, this was
more funny than spooky.
You also don't have the experience of having watched it when you were younger.
Yeah, I've been desensitized. I watch a lot of really fucked up shit.
I would expect this kind of rating from people that have no experience with Hitchcock at all, really. You don't have a whole lot of... Outside of Psycho, I think. I know you've watched Psycho.
I've watched a few things. I don't remember exactly what they were. I gotta find the box set again.
My rating for this would be a hell of a lot higher than a 4 or 5, but that's fine. You're allowed your own opinion.
I'll give it a 6.
Don't let me sway you. You're allowed your own opinion.
I'll give it a 6 because it's a cult classic.
It's a cult classic. It's right up there as far as I'm concerned.
And it's different.
I have a little bit of nostalgia attached with my feelings for this film, and having watched it now, and my son this is his second Hitchcock film. He got to watch his first for the 50th anniversary of Rear Window in the theaters.
Nice.
Very
nice.
So that was a good one. Again, I would have preferred if it was not the colorized version, but whatever. But for this film personally, and mind you, I'm also going over several of Hitchcock's other movies in my head. I would, out of 11, I would give this a solid 9. I would give it a solid 9. It's not the best, but it's definitely not, bottom rung. I don't know why you said it ranked like 9 out of 10 for his top 10 films. It's like, I don't know why it was ranked that low, because I remember this better than I remember most. And what was your rating? I know you said something.
Easily at 8.5. Easy 8. Easy 8.5.
Okay.
Because it's not just birds attacking. It's the overall story. It was the cat and mouse game in the beginning. The first
It's the leftover question.
20 minutes of, them, I know you know who I am. I know who you, and like, it was like a hook, line, and sinker in the beginning where, let's see if she catches on and put you back in your gilded cage, Miss Melanie Daniels. And like, how do you know my name? That got her, right? Hook, line, how do you know my name? Oh, court this and court that. And he leaves not knowing if she would follow, and she followed.
You stalked me first.
Right?
I'm stalking you right the fuck back.
It was a great cat and mouse game. And then you forget that it's actually meant to be a horror film, which Hitchcock does a great job of, just kind of building and building and building and building and building and building. And it doesn't disappoint, right? It doesn't disappoint. I mean,
Hitchcock movie is a slow
the ending
burn.
kind of disappointed me. Okay, let's go to the hospital, and then nothing.
But I think the ending is symbolic, though. The ending is symbolic. It's almost as if, those birds have kind of they want to show their dominance and that they have control, not the people. It's like a false sense of control as humans, but the birds had all the control because they were there, man. They were just there. That's fear, not knowing what's gonna happen. That's what Hitchcock does to you. He's like, I'm gonna have all these birds, and you're gonna have to go through them. It's like almost like Walking Dead when they had to go through the zombie, but
covered in their own shit.
covering themselves in their body parts and blood, and see if are they gonna get eaten? Are they gonna be left alone? I think it was so many films have replicated this style of storytelling, and I think it's fantastic. So I easily give it an 8.5, 9.
Except instead of The Walking Dead, it's, Daddy, why are the pretty seagulls attacking me? Daddy.
Seagulls are pretty.
I love seagulls.
I don't think they're pretty.
I think seagulls are beautiful birds. There's some birds that I do not like.
Those lovebirds were pretty cute.
Well, I'll tell you a story that happened to my wife. Chris B, I'll tell you a story that happened to my wife regarding seagulls. Her and their friends were at a beach here in near LA years ago when they were in high school, and they all decided to jump into the water, removing their clothes. I mean, they had undergarments on, but they went in the water. And as they were in the water, a flock of seagulls went and snatched their clothes and flew away with it. True story. Like they literally came in, snatched the clothes, and flew away with it.
Congratulations, they have nesting material.
Right?
Oh,
there's
my wife and a
nesting
couple of her
material
friends
made out
had
of
to...
somebody's underclothes.
It's like a week ago, I watched a gull snatch this dude's whole fucking thing of fries.
Oh, well, yeah, they do that.
Yeah.
You can't hold food out because they will die for it.
His dumb ass fucking left it on the bar on the boardwalk.
Oh, that's even dumber.
Yeah. How you guys get a lot of gulls in your neck of the woods?
Yeah.
We are literally 30 minutes from the coast here. I
Oh,
was
okay.
just up at the beach today for breakfast.
Oh, wow.
So
Yeah, I go to the beach for karaoke pretty often.
Yeah,
Yeah.
man.
I don't actually participate in karaoke. I'm just a bystander.
So I would say there's still a lot of gulls, especially like not only where am I 30 minutes from the coast, but we have a major river that runs through the area
Yeah.
that feeds off of the ocean.
Mm.
So there's a lot of gulls, especially in this area, in and around where Miss B lives here.
Okay.
There's a lot of birds.
Yep.
Hopefully none quite as vicious as the ones in this movie.
I live right on a river.
I don't care to ever wake up one morning to go to work and just have a bunch of like birds descend on me thinking I'm food.
You know,
I'm good.
having this podcast, this conversation, I feel like there's so much connection with me and in this movie indirectly, because I think I read somewhere that it was inspired by a event that took place in Monterey Bay, where these birds supposedly had eaten from like algae and kind of messed with their brains and started crashing into houses and cars and whatnot.
Some
And
kind of like parasite or fungal
right,
infection.
I mentioned that because that's my wife and I were in. I proposed to her in Monterey.
Oh, okay.
20 years, 23. Oh my God, 21, 22 years ago.
Oh,
So
shit.
Monterey.
You're like right up there with me. I've been married to my wife for 25 years.
Oh yeah, there you go. We were married in 2003.
I've been married to my bed for 30.
We're not trying to out
Monterey.
relations.
I'm never
I am
actually going to
sorry.
get married.
I think I'm. You know, maybe we should have made a way to Bodega Bay. Made a visit there. That would have been pretty cool. I know. I don't know if you guys have heard of Grimlight Collective. They're pretty awesome. They did a location shot. Really explained a lot about that Bodega Bay filming. That school is now a private home apparently, but it still stands to this day.
This was actually adapted from a short story, if I'm not mistaken. So I want to kind of hunt down and find the story that this is based off of. Like I want to find the book that was that Psycho was written off of as well. I think I might have to actually talk to our friends over at the Strange and Beautiful Book Club podcast because they have access to both.
Nice.
So, but the screenplay for this, and I don't know how much like old school detective novel reading that you do, but the screenplay for this, I'm trying to remember the guy's name off the top of my head. I have it written in here. My little book's sitting here. I wrote some stuff down this time because I wanted to make sure that I had certain things in my head. Evan Hunter was the screenwriter for this film. Evan Hunter, his original pen name, he goes by Ed McBain. He was a noir detective novel writer that did a lot of like small like detective novels. So, and I can remember those books being on my father's bookshelf growing up. I know that he's read them. I don't think I ever have, but I recognize the name.
Nice.
So, I made that connection. I was like, oh, okay, yeah. Maybe I should read some of his stuff. And then like detective novels, I don't know if that's up my alley.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, it's funny, speaking of connection, like Counting Crows is one of my favorite bands of all time.
Okay. I mean,
only because of Crows, man. I don't know what it is about this damn movie, but I'm starting to pick up on so many different connections now with this damn movie. I love it.
I'm
it's
like folding
cool.
in on myself. I didn't that was like a slow burn joke right there because it took me a second for that to kick in. Counting Crows is one of my favorites.
Yeah,
okay.
They really are though. Like Crows, and then we were spoken about Crows earlier today. I'm like, they're everywhere, man. What's going on? That's nuts.
There we go. Somebody just drove by with their tractor, I think. Wow. Did you hear all that shit going on outside?
I heard something. I don't know what it was.
Okay. So I'm going to use that as my signal to move on to the last part of our podcast, where we are going to pitch an unnecessary sequel/remake to this film.
Okay.
So we've gotten the rights to Alfred Hitchcock's The Birds to make a modern sequel of sorts.
Anya Taylor-Joy as Miss Daniels.
No, you're just pulling names out already.
Yeah.
I wasn't even thinking it. I wasn't there for any of it yet. I'm just sitting here thinking of how we would even do it. It's like I don't want to insult Hitchcock, but I also don't want to do what was it Ang Lee, I think, that did the remake of Psycho with
with Vince Vaughn, and Hesh.
And
I seen that movie once.
I didn't watch that.
It was only worth one watch.
Yeah, it was just a one watch deal.
The problem that they had with the film is that the director that took the helm decided to literally make a shot-for-shot modern remake of Psycho.
Yeah.
And you can't do that. If you're going to do a remake, you've got to kind of make it your own. If you're making a remake, you don't want to see the original film, just new actors.
Right.
You want to see a remake. You want to see a modern retelling of a classic. Vince
Vaughn can be a
intimidating
guy.
That was kind of weird novelty to do that. I don't know what, like, I mean, Vince Vaughn was pretty good in not in this Psycho, but Freaky. He was pretty good. I don't know if you saw that one.
Cell Block 99.
If you've ever gotten a chance to watch Brawl in Cell Block 99, it was one of the most intense performances that he's ever done. And the fact that it flew under the radar,
so fucking good.
It was one of those films that, like, I had gotten a new respect for him as an actor. Like, nice. I know that he can push the envelope at this point, but he keeps falling back into these tropes of his snarky attitude with different films.
Like, I loved Kevin James and fucking Becky.
Yep.
I love seeing fucking comedic actors take serious roles and do really good with it.
You know who would be a good director, in my opinion, for a modern Birds movie would be Martin McDonagh. He did Banshees of Inisherin. So imagine, right? I don't know if you both have seen that movie, Banshees of Inisherin, if it took place in that Irish town.
That is on my watch list. I have not gotten to watch it yet.
Fantastic movie.
Something tells me that
we're gonna be
based off of his recommendation, I've been waiting too long for it.
Absolutely. Gleason and Colin Farrell are just over the top, like, fantastic.
So we have like three different opinions on directors here.
I saw in Bruges.
Okay, so it's the same guys, same director, and Colin and Gleason, and it's it's
I can see
almost as good, if not better, than In Bruges.
I really, really, really love Darren Aronofsky as a fucking director.
Okay, Darren Aronofsky. That's right up there, and I'm trying to remember this other guy's name now. My brain has gone off the deep end. And if you can look up the director for me, because of he has made some quirky films. Look up the director of the Royal Tenenbaums for me.
Wes Anderson, all day.
Wes Anderson, there you go. I am sitting here and I knew Wes, and for some reason the last name was not connecting.
You were going to
brain for a minute. It was not one of the things that I wrote down in my book.
I am an absolute huge fan of Anderson. His stuff is fantastic. I don't know if I ever told the story to you, Chris, but I think it was like 99. We had it was 98, 99. We seen the trailer for Rushmore, and I was like, damn, this movie looks good. I watched it. We watched it. Two of us loved it. Two of us hated it.
Right.
And ever since then, I've been an Wes Anderson fan. So I've seen all his films.
I can't name a Wes Anderson movie that I hate.
No,
honestly.
Yeah.
I've watched a lot of his films, and honestly, they are hit or miss for a lot of people. You either have to really love his work, or you just are confused by his work, because some people
it's a niche.
Can't get into it.
He's definitely got a theme, and to me it's fantastic. I mean, Budapest Hotel. I mean, you name it, man. French Connect, the French Dispatch.
French Dispatch was good.
The most recent one, Asteroid City, was
Life Aquatic.
I loved it. Life Aquatic,
that was good.
Fantastic.
So here's my thing: if we get Wes Anderson for the film, I want to switch out the Jessica Tandy role.
Okay.
All right. So, and now I'm gonna run
go
back
to
over
his
my
notes.
I guess I'm gonna go through my notes. So instead of having Lydia Brenner as the doting mother in the film, I would bring one of his mainstays, Bill Murray, in to be the father.
Ooh.
As opposed to
I like that.
Jessica Tandy.
I really like that. Yes.
I love it.
So
you can't go wrong, Bill Murray.
I'm thinking, you could make this a horror film, or you could take it in a different direction. Completely in a different direction. I think Wes Anderson trying to handle this film and take it in a kind of weird, quirky Wes Anderson direction would be interesting. I like Darren Aronofsky and I have to watch your film so I have a frame of reference for your director. So I don't want to say, hey, I don't know. I would love to figure out so I have a frame of reference for your director. But Darren Aronofsky also has a very quirky style of storytelling between Hereditary and
There's something wrong
Midsommar
with Johnson's.
And what was the other one? We just watched it. Beau is Afraid.
Beau is Afraid. Fucking was he with the witch too?
I think so. But he leans more towards the horror side. Films. So here's what I say. Why limit ourselves to one? Why not do what the Quentin Tarantino, Robert Rodriguez guys did and get them to collaborate?
I like that.
Perfect.
Yes.
Get them to collaborate and kind of cobble together a story that has a tinge of each of
really good at leaving you with cliffhangers.
Like, because I would love the storytelling style of Darren Aronofsky. And give me an idea of the style of directing that we have from the director you had mentioned.
For Mark McDonagh, he's got a slow paced style. It's very character driven. Okay. He focuses so much on the character, and the story is secondary. Because you fall in love with the character, you're almost engulfed in his story, where other directors would be more story driven and plot driven as opposed to character driven. And that's one of the reasons I love like his films. Like Seven Psychopaths is one of his. He only did really 4. Seven Psychopaths. In Bruges. Banshees of Inisherin, and then 3 Billboards Outside Missouri.
All
Missouri.
You had to do was say Seven Psychopaths. I know that film.
Yeah.
I think we've actually reviewed that film. I don't know if I did that with you or if I did that with Omar. Probably Omar. But that film right there, that's all you had to say. Now I have an idea.
the whole Tom Waits plot, right? In Seven Psychopaths, along with Christopher Walken's story.
He fully pays attention to character building to the point that you're following not just one, but several different characters through the film, and the story is almost like the fact that they're weaving through the film is what builds the story.
Yeah.
So it's the characters that build the story, not the story that builds the characters.
Exactly. And you fall in love with the characters. Villainy or heroic, it doesn't matter. You just absolutely fall in love with the characters. The way McDonagh writes stories.
I'll watch that with you sometime. You really enjoy that film. Okay, now I kind of have an idea of what you're getting at. Okay, so definitely he does a slow burn. I kind of like that. He kind of Now I'm just trying to work things over in my head. I'm still stuck with Bill Murray.
We got the Bill Murray. That's fantastic.
I want Bill Murray as the not lead actor, but in the Jessica Tandy role. We're switching it to a not a Lydia Brenner, but maybe a Lewis Brenner.
Okay.
Make him Lewis Brenner, the doting father that basically is like, no, I don't need you to leave me alone. He needs his son. Like basically, he's kind of not an invalid. Okay, so now we have to pitch a Mitch Brenner.
You know what? If we're gonna stick with Wes Anderson, I think Adrian Brody would be pretty good.
Ooh, yes.
Okay, Adrian Brody as
Mitch,
Bill Murray's
son.
Son. Okay. Now I'm just my brain is. I know Adrian Brody. I'm just trying to connect the. Okay, so we're gonna have to, because he has like a pretty thick accent in something, but he has done like American.
Yeah, he's done American accent.
Okay.
I mean, did you watch Split?
I just feel like if you look at Adrian Brody, he's got
not Split.
Like Straight Jacket was one of them. There was a couple of films.
That's what it was.
Splice. Was he in Splice?
Yeah.
Oh no. Okay, never mind. My brain went back to Split. Sorry.
He fucked the Splice creature.
My brain went back. You said Splice, and then my brain went back.
I said Split and then Splice.
So you had already planted a seed in my brain, and my brain is trying to tie it back to another movie. It's like, no, you already mentioned the wrong movie.
Yep.
And my brain's still trying to stick with. That's my ADHD.
C'est la vie.
And you wanted for Kathy.
So I don't like Anya Taylor-Joy for fucking Adrian Brody.
No, you don't like.
No, that just no.
across from Adrian Brody, no, I don't think Anya Taylor-Joy would work terribly well. I'm trying to think though. You know who would make a good socialite? And I kind of respect. Oh God, brain. I'm having a brain fart. You guys gonna have to work without me for a moment.
Well, what age group? What age group are we looking at for Melanie Daniels' character?
She's like in her 30s, right? So
I mean, she has to be. I mean, a younger socialite. Technically, in the film, like she was supposed to be playing 24 years old, but you know how old she was at the time of filming?
35.
She was like
30?
33 years old. So they played down her age and kind of like published her age as something else altogether to try to make it so that
Grease
she
had
was
fucking 40-year-olds playing teenagers.
The appropriate age. I guess at the time, a 33-year-old making her on-screen debut was unheard of.
Yeah.
But he liked her.
Who do we want?
Who do we want as the socialite? We've got a couple of roles to film here. We want
all right.
We want to get our police officer in there. And we're going if we're going with Wes Anderson, there's several characters that you can pick from.
Ed Norton for the sheriff, for the authoritative figure.
Okay. I like that.
A little older Ed Norton.
Yeah.
I was half and half between Ed Norton or Luke Wilson.
Luke Wilson. Yeah, I can see Luke Wilson more of a kind of a small town.
Yeah.
Little farm boy sheriff. Like goody two-shoe
type. Ed Norton can be the fucking bartender.
Ed Norton as the bartender.
That's great. I love it.
That'd work.
But snarky, you know.
I definitely like that. Do we still have Cloris Leachman with us?
I want Kathy Bates as the crazy bird lady.
Perfect.
Kathy Bates.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you know, my wife and I just watched Misery about a couple of weeks ago, and she was.
I fucking love Kathy Bates.
Wow. She's something else. Kathy Bates as the crazy lady. Love it.
What about Natalie Portman?
Across Adrian Brody?
Across from Adrian Brody.
Okay, I could see that.
How about Christina Ricci?
Ooh. Yeah.
Actually, that might work. We're talking Adrian Brody. That would definitely work a lot better.
Finished watching Yellow Jackets again.
I think they could. And you know, honestly, Christina Ricci is not given enough credit for her range when it comes to acting.
Oh, how about Ricci as Annie Hayworth?
Ooh.
No, actually, I think we should flip it. I think Annie Hayworth should be played by Natalie Portman and Ricci as the love interest.
Okay, yeah.
Natalie Portman being
Ricci's
sort of the reluctant but snarky sort of the reluctant but snarky teacher that sort of has a love interest but has decided to stay in the friend zone.
Yeah.
How about...
Okay, fine. We're looking... Go ahead.
What? I forget her name. She's from the Alien series. Nomi. She's from Whatever Happened to Monday.
Noomi Rapace?
Yes. What if she was opposite Christina Ricci? She's got that.
I really like that.
You know,
rather than Natalie Portman. As Annie Hayworth.
Fuck yes.
Yeah.
Okay, I think that Ricci and her could play off each other with no problem.
Because she's got that. I'm gonna stab you in your neck if you say the wrong thing to me. But
yes,
I'm gonna serve you tea.
I'm a sweet lady.
Serve you some coffee and some biscuit. You know, whatever. Welcome to my home. Sleep with one eye open.
I definitely won't kill you, but I might.
See, I'm still not the Natalie Portman thing. I was still stuck in the Wes Anderson area. So we can pick people outside of his universe.
Yeah,
we don't have to stick around. You know who I want now? We're gonna go the other way. Oh, good lord! You're gonna have to give me her name. The mother from Hereditary. Toni Collette.
Toni Collette.
Toni Collette should definitely be the crazy woman that accuses her of being cursed.
Yes.
But I want her to have a larger role in the film. Like I want her to be just this lingering crazy lady throughout the entire film.
Can she be the drunk fucking guy at the bar that's the world is ending?
Who's to say the crazy lady?
We need to cast
drunk guy can't
we need to cast that person.
Oh.
Charlie Day.
Charlie Day. That was
Charlie fucking Day.
Your brain went to a different area than mine did. You went Charlie Day. I went slightly more.
Or Danny DeVito.
That's exactly where I went.
Danny
I went slightly
DeVito.
more comedic, and I was thinking Danny DeVito at the bar, just drunk. The world is ending.
I have a Danny DeVito sticker in my bag.
Or actually, split the difference
It's Danny
between
DeVito.
Charlie Day and Danny DeVito. Patrick Warburton.
Okay.
Tell me who that
I
is.
still like Charlie Day.
Patrick Warburton. He is the voice of Stan from Family Guy, not Family Guy, American Dad.
Okay.
Not as familiar.
He played the Tick in the television series, the early television series.
Yeah.
He's the guy with the big voice, you know.
I see.
He's got a.
How about the captain of the fishing boat? Who's the captain of the fishing boat?
Ooh, the captain of the fishing boat. Go ahead.
Tom Hanks.
Tom Hanks.
Tom fucking Hanks.
Veto.
Just a Tom Hanks. Just a Tom Hanks. You're gonna veto that one. You know who I was thinking?
Hey, I love Tom Hanks, but not for this. Not for our modern day birds. No way.
Captain of the fishing boat, and this is just me taking like one out of left field. Richard Dreyfuss.
Wait, young Richard Dreyfuss or old Richard Dreyfuss?
Current Richard Dreyfuss. He's an older guy.
Okay.
And I want to say, like, you play Richard Dreyfuss as if he were from Jaws, his character from Jaws.
Good one.
All right, so he's got PTSD from sharks. He is still a boat captain, though.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Jaws Richard Dreyfuss.
Just Jaws Richard Dreyfuss. His absolute PTSD, terrorized by sharks. And so even him getting onto the water, he's like, rush it, get in. He's rushing the whole thing.
He's seen some shit, that guy, for sure.
I don't want to be on the water as long as
he wants to regale like Christina Ricci with stories of his time on the sea, and she just no, stop. I just want to get from point A to point B. Leave me alone.
How about Kathy, the young sister?
Okay, so now we need a child actress. I don't know a lot of child actresses, or does she have to be a child?
I mean, she has to be a younger sister in order for it to work.
She has to be.
Do you know? I think I read somewhere. I may have read that she was the bag lady in Speed. She played the bag lady in Speed.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
I would have to look that up. Okay,
wait, who?
That's interesting.
Is she the one from Alien, or is that her sister? Because it's Veronica Cartwright. I think she played Lambert in Alien.
I don't know.
The short hair. Man, I'd have to remember.
So the little kid. What if we don't make her a little kid? Because she's just.
But she's no, we have to, because she's part of the school. She's a student in the school.
Okay, so she has to be.
McKenna Grace.
McKenna Grace.
The girl that played young Theodora in Haunting a Hill House.
Yeah, but the thing with I know McKenna Grace. Yeah, she's been in a few things. She was in like Young Sheldon and several other things.
Yeah.
The thing with McKenna Grace is I'm not sure she's young enough to play the. I mean, unless you made her like a teenager. Okay, Violet McGraw, I could see.
Young Nellie.
So she has to be young enough that she can still play like a school-aged kid, because we have to have that scene. Obviously, we're doing an island town. I don't know if we're going to continue to record in Bodega Bay. We could. Obviously, I don't know what modern Bodega Bay looks like, but I'm imagining that the schoolhouse is not the old 1960s schoolhouse that looks like it was from the 1800s anymore.
Oh, actually, if what is their name? Grimlight Collective did the video I was talking about earlier. It's still remains. A lot of the structures there are still the same.
Now, here's a question. Do we modernize this film, like make it a modern retelling, or do we make it an era film? So basically, it was a 1960s film.
I'd like an era film as opposed to a modernized film.
Okay,
maybe
so basically,
maybe 90s where there's not much technology.
Okay,
that we have
to make
now.
It a little step, like a step further, like in the 90s rather than like the modern, like the 2000s.
Because I think everybody has a cell phone. You know, I'm not big on the trope of everyone having a cell phone in today's modern like horror movies.
Supercomputer at their fingertips.
I wanna, 90s I can agree with, because I want to make it so that it's still landline communication.
Yes.
So it's not like I've got a cell phone in my hand and I can call out to get help at any time. I want there to be a communication gap.
Yes.
I could get behind that.
So
So like 94, 93.
Yeah, early 90s, like
93,
early to mid.
94.
93 would work, because I think we're still dealing with like Nokia brick telephones back there, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
Most people had pagers at best.
something like that. Motorola, those little Motorola flip
I
phones
wasn't
that weigh
born
like
yet.
5 pounds.
I had the Nokia phone, the one that they say was indestructible.
Did you
right?
really? Wow.
At best, the most advanced game you could play on there was Snake.
Yep.
Which was just a line, kind of.
Imagine that, man. That's crazy.
I am old. You can't tell by the gray sitting here underneath my
Chris, I'm
cheek.
older than you, man. Come on.
You're not older than me.
Yes, I am.
You are? How old are you?
49.
You're 2 years older than me?
Yes.
Dude, I don't know what you're eating, but you look like you're in your 30s at best.
Thanks, man. I was born in 75. So everything I'm referencing is all because I grew up in the 80s and 90s. I grew up in the 80s.
You know what I'm referencing.
I was 94.
You know what I mean?
I'm sorry, Nico, you're doing a podcast with a couple old men here.
It is what it is.
Two old guys.
He looks like he's in his... He doesn't look like he's almost
I appreciate
50.
that, Chris. Two old guys in a
like
girl.
he's almost 50.
Yeah, you definitely look like you're in your 30s.
Good Lord.
Oh my God.
Okay, let me take out my glasses. Okay, now I don't look like I'm...
Nope, still. No. You can't convince me that you're older than mid-30s at best. Can't convince
Chris. Man. Let me remind my wife. See, babe? You know?
Right? See? I mean, I might be biased because, I mean, people over here, they really look their age.
Yeah.
I mean, the cold weathers
like
them
milk.
real quick. You know? So it's something about the preservative, the cold weather, and the pickling of all the alcohol.
Well, you know what? Living in Southern California, Chris, I wasn't big of being under the sun. I mean, I love the beach, but I also liked it when it wasn't like super hot or super sunny. I like cloudy days. It's cloudy days, though, man. We're going to the beach. We're going jet skiing. We're going kayaking. So I wasn't too like hype on always being under the sun. Put it that way.
My friend,
I know what sun will do to you, man.
Mostly Irish blood. My time under the sun always ended in me being about as burnt as a lobster, just bright red. I remember like not putting on sunscreen when I first moved back up here from Georgia. And I'm thinking, oh, we're in Massachusetts. And for some reason, my brain disconnected for a minute, thinking, the sun up in Massachusetts is different than the sun in Georgia. So my brain went completely off the rails. I forgot to put fucking lotion on my feet.
Oh, no.
And I burnt and blistered. I was out in the sun so long. Everything else was fine, but I couldn't put on socks for near to a week.
Jesus Christ.
That's harsh.
Like,
that's a real
I had to
thing.
explain to my boss, like, why are you wearing sandals to work? It's, oh, well, because I'm filleted the first 3 or 4 layers of skin off of my feet. I'll be lucky if I don't get sun cancer.
Yeah.
So, okay.
Sun cancer.
Moving back to our remake, or our slightly modern remake in the 90s of The Birds, Sun Cancer, yes.
Okay.
Skin cancer.
There you go.
Skin cancer is what I meant to say. Look.
You can do words.
Correct my English. I know lots of big words, wonderful things to say, but sometimes my brain does disconnect, and my co-hosts are...
No, I'm going to sit here and chuckle.
Call me out. That's what I tell Piper to do. Call me the fuck out when I do something or I say something stupid. Call me out. You don't like to call me out.
I like to just like to
Everybody else is going to know you screwed up. I'm just going to be quiet. Yeah. How do you think that a modern retelling of this story would go?
Well, if you get like we spoke, man, if you get the right directors, the right actors, the right, man, why are retelling of stories? Why are, it just doesn't work out. But I'm sure for something like this, if you did it right, and that's easy to say, I think it would work. Me personally, I think it would work. It's hard, man. It's hard to know. Okay. It's hard to tell. It really is.
I already have 3 things in my head I would change. So we're doing a modern retelling. It's in the 90s. So we're talking...
I vote Chicago.
Chicago for the Birds?
Yep.
Oh, I'm still thinking island town. I want the gulls. I want all of these things.
Yeah.
I want it to be isolating.
Right.
So like they're not able to just escape. I wanted to stay in an island town area.
Staten Island.
You go. So you're keeping with the city idea. You like the city idea.
Yep.
So this is going to be a city cop.
Because fucking
Luke Wilson. We're not doing like, Backroads Country Cop here. We're doing.
We could do fucking Cape Cod.
Okay. I think I like the
where
idea
it's not easily accessible.
Or Florida.
Chris.
Everyone's fucking stupid in Florida.
Right.
Somewhere where it's not easily accessible.
That was mean.
I like the idea of going. So Cape Cod's a little closer to where I was thinking. She's trying to bring it from the West Coast over to the East Coast here. If you can't tell, it's like all these things on the East Coast. I know there's several islands. Let's just make it a nondescript island because technically,
Australia.
You don't have to give it a name. You can just make it a nondescript island. Australia. Let's go
fucking
to New
Australia.
Zealand.
Everything's trying to kill you in Australia.
Go up to New Zealand. Everything wants to kill you. The first thoughts in my head, and I wasn't even thinking of positioning. I still had my brain wrapped around an island town that's still sort of back in the day. Not everything's modernized. They've just figured out how to get dial-up internet over there. So we got dial-up internet. We got mostly landline phones. I think that Luke Wilson should be... I'm going to play with your idea of a city cop. I want to say a city cop that was so incompetent he got drummed out of the force and has now ended up this incompetent but very gruff, very angry cop that just doesn't want to do anything out in here. So like he comes up with excuses not to want to do the work. He's managed to get the job because nobody else wants it. Nobody else wants to be isolated on this. This is a town that, in bad weather just gets isolated from the mainland. You can't get across the pond to wherever you're going. And so we got him as a transplant, a gruff cop. You've got a once wealthy, but now completely bankrupt father. He is just grumpy, doesn't want to deal with anybody in Bill Murray.
Okay.
He completely depends on his son and his son's money now to keep him from falling off the face of the planet. And so he doesn't want to let his son out of his sights. He doesn't like it when women battle for his affections. Hates it. Which will make him kind of on the same line as
Christina Ricci's
Tandy.
fucking relentless.
Christina Ricci's
relentless. Her fucking character in Yellow Jackets. Bitch is crazy.
That's the third thing I want to change. I want to make Christina Ricci...
she could do Stalker really good.
Melanie and Miss Hayward direct competitors.
Okay.
So while Melanie is now essentially stalking this guy, she's basically come to the island to give him... I don't know if we're going to stick with the lovebirds. I think the lovebirds being the tie-in is still a good idea. But I want to make it so that Miss Hayward has been trying to whittle him down for years. Keep with the story where he met her in the city too, but she has moved to become a teacher on this island so that she can keep close and keep kind of whittling him down, even though she's kind of in the friend zone with him. And now these two are direct competition.
Okay.
She has only let her rent in her house for a few days because she wants to keep an eye on her.
Hey, keep your friends close and your enemies in your Airbnb.
Is there anything you guys would change?
To
update the story, make it a little bit more unique.
Unique.
I want Christina Ricci to actually get fucking arrested for breaking and entering and fucking being a stalker.
And you can throw that stalker. You can kind of throw that stalker plot in there.
Yeah.
And it just kind of arcs from being a stalker to like not a stalker.
Yep.
But the beginning she would be accused of being a stalker.
More aggressively protective to the point that he calls Luke Wilson to come arrest her for breaking into the house or whatever.
That's not cute.
For hanging around and
fucking romantic, bitch. What are you doing in my house?
Adrian Brody keeps bailing her out like, what are you doing, Dad? Why do you keep having her arrested? But Luke Wilson and Bill Murray, they're like buddy.
Who do we want for fucking daddy that she's calling from the newspaper?
And then
we have to. Do you want to have an actual actor?
Yep.
Doesn't have to be a non-descript.
You can have the new Naomi's character, Anna's. Our modern Anna could be easily, quietly, subtly setting up Melanie's character, Christina Ricci's character, and gets her, arrested a couple of times and gets bailed out a couple of times, but it's in the hands of Anna Hayward's character, where she's not so friendly behind closed doors, but friendly facade to the front.
Bill Murray, so Adrian Brody's character, Mitch, does not like Miss Hayward that way, kind of keeps her in the friend zone. However, Bill Murray, the father, likes Miss Hayward and wants that girl for his son. And so they constantly conspire between each other to try to whittle him down.
Oh, so they team up.
They team up. And part of the whole thing where Christina Ricci either gets arrested or basically is they're trying to put distance between Mitch and Melanie. So they conspire for like the initial arresting for the stalking and breaking and entering. It's those two conspiring against her as part of it's kind of a love triangle thing where the father is on Miss Hayward's side and nobody's on Melanie's side. It's an uphill battle for her.
Okay, I see it.
And Melanie doesn't help herself because her action speaks to the audience going against her. But she's trying to win. She's trying to win Mitch's affections over. So,
and these little earworms, Bill Murray's character, Miss Hayward, they're basically trying to lay the groundwork of, hey, no, this girl is obsessive. She's stalking you. And so everything that Mitch is seeing is through the glasses of those people sort of tainting everything for her. Because he's only kind of the bystander, like her breaking and entering. He doesn't see that. He doesn't see what the intention was behind it. He doesn't know her story specifically. He just knows that this is the girl that I hit on over here and blah, blah, blah. And now she's come to me with these birds that I initially requested.
To stalk me and give my little sister a fucking pair of birds. That's insane.
And then instead of sparrows and crows and seagulls, it's owls, eagles, and hawks.
Yes. Birds of prey.
This is going to sound really weird. It's going to sound like a weird kind of approach to take in this film. What if Christina Ricci's character is played exactly like the character from the original film? Like she's a 1960s socialite.
Okay.
And she is approaching everything from that mental space. Whereas the entire world over here
is in the 90s.
Is 1990s and the sensibilities of the 1990s. So there's like a almost 3-decade disconnect between how she acts and how everybody in this world acts.
Why would that be though? Why would she have that kind of mentality?
Okay. So this is where my brain goes into the Aaron
Aronofsky
area. What if the mental disconnect is, say, we have like a backstory for her. Either maybe she has a few psychological issues
because of daddy.
Recently, daddy knows that she has some psychological issues, some attachment issues, that she is used to watching films of a certain era, and so her brain has just rewired itself to act like people from that era. And her father has tried everything, this guy that owns a newspaper and or whatever.
Bruce Willis.
We can't use Bruce Willis right now. We're going to use somebody else. Bruce Willis is no longer acting for obvious reasons.
Well, yeah, but I mean...
It would be nice in his heyday. It would be nice. Liam Neeson might be good.
Willem Dafoe.
Constantly trying to keep her. Willem Dafoe.
Yes.
We have a winner. There we go. I like yours. He is constantly trying to keep her out of the mental institutions because it would look bad on him. So he has people watch after her and this, that, and the other thing. But this guy hitting on her in almost it kind of feels like the original exchange from the original movie. And so that's what clicks with her. And that's why she starts to stalk him and she buys the birds and she goes to find him on this island and she hunts down all this information. But in the back of her head, she's acting like these women that she grew up watching from the old films.
I'm in.
Okay.
That is trippy. Because people can kind of put themselves in a mental state where they choose to put themselves in a mental state. No, I'm not speaking my like I know, but that would be kind of a
so
weird
you get a little bit
dynamic.
of comedy. a little bit of suspense, a little bit of horror.
Can we? I will make one suggestion though for our modern Birds film.
Okay.
Can we make sure that Melanie has a change of clothes, because she kind of wore that outfit for like 3 straight days,
Right?
and it's starting to make me wonder the hygiene, if she actually washed
She
those
wore
clothes,
it for,
undergarments over that time period, and otherwise she was in that outfit for like a good
So I gotta-
70
Showed up with a
90
nightgown in a bag.
they actually had 6 separate outfits for her in that film. So he bought her 6 of the same outfit because he wanted her in the same outfit throughout the entire film. Here's how I feel. We're going to get rid of that outfit, but she's going to wear it to start with. We're introduced to her in the green outfit. She
Yes.
gets to the island in the green outfit and is immediately
Yes.
after she steps out of
Yes.
the rowboat, she takes a misstep and falls face first into mud or something like that. Just covers it.
I
And
want
then
her
they have to give
outfits
her a
to
change of
progressively get more fucking ridiculous.
But I want to have like whoever gets
Symbolic.
her the clothes, like
Symbolic, B.
whoever gets her the change of clothes, like goes to a closet and there's 6 other of the same green outfit in there, and they pick out like one outfit that doesn't match that. Just a little call back to her having to wear the same outfit for
actually good.
almost 3 years worth of filming the same outfit.
Crazy, and no one, and Hayworth, Miss Hayworth didn't bother. Hey, you know what? I have another outfit that you could wear. We're kind of the same, build. Would you
I
like
want it to progressively get like more Catherine O'Hara ridiculous in fucking like Schitt's Creek.
Okay.
Each outfit is just
so
more stupid than the last.
It just digresses her
Yeah.
from day to day. Okay.
I want to say that they're all, just to kind of keep with her mindset, they're all variations on different styles from the 60s.
Okay.
Mm.
I want them all to be bird themed too.
She is literally dressed out of time too. Like everything about her is 1960s. So even the outfits that she eventually ends up changing into throughout the movie are all 1960s outfits.
But keep that ugly ass fucking nightgown.
No, she has to have that nightgown.
It's so ugly.
It is, but that's the point. Even Miss Hayward looked at it and went, "Yeah, that's beautiful. That's real pretty."
I was thinking in terms of the year. You said it was filmed in between 1960 and 1962, released in 63. You guys realize 1962 to right now where we're at is literally 62 years? Or am I wrong?
No, I think you're right. Yeah, it's literally 62 years.
I can't do math in my head.
No, he's right on the math. It's 62.
Wow. So it's as if we were in 1962 talking about movie back in 1900.
Yeah, well, those movies did. I don't think if they did. I think they had them. They didn't have any sound, did they?
I don't know.
They were just the movies were just movies, no sound, no talkie.
Sound. No. Unless you're Buster Keaton and didn't want.
It also dawns on me that while Hitchcock might have bought her 6 separate outfits to wear for the film, that's like being told, you have 6 outfits and you can only wear that for the next 3 years.
That's wow. Does
anyone remember that Jenna Marbles song? 3 looks.
Right. She only
had
had one.
3 looks. And that's it.
She only had one. It was
exactly.
6 looks, they were all the same.
Exactly.
That would make me miserable.
Oh my God.
I mean, wow.
I think that we would end up fighting the birds in a different way here. I don't think you're just going to end up having people just run from the birds all the time.
I want one fucking random. I want one random dude just fucking shotgunning at the sky.
This is the 90s, and most people would approach.
I feel like you'd also have a group of protesters from PETA somewhere in this movie trying to save the birds.
Yes.
Somehow. While you have a group of people trying to protect themselves.
They're doing this for a reason.
You have another group that's trying to.
It's because humanity's killing the earth.
Just throwing that out there, man. I think that if this is in the 90s, that's going to happen. You'll have a group of people from PETA that trying to protect the birds from being,
I would say that you're probably going to, with the birds now, if you're making that film right now, you're going to have mostly trained birds, but you're also going to have people using CGI to duplicate.
No. Yep. Chris, I mean, like in the movie itself, like when this is going on, the world would
Like
be
somebody
out.
from PETA, Greenpeace, just pulling up.
Yeah, they'll pull up.
MSPCA, no.
They'll pull up in a whole in a big boat onto the island where the birds are, and they get attacked by the birds with their billboard signs that says "Protect the birds," which is kind of ironic, right? Protect the birds, but they're the ones being attacked.
Did you get to read any of the
birds they're trying to
facts
protect
about this film? Like one of the biggest PETA no-nos in the entire film was Roy Taylor explained that
Rod
the
Taylor,
birds the birds themselves were fed a mixture of wheat and whiskey.
Wheat and whiskey.
That's the only reason they were able to stand around for a lengthy period of time, because they didn't want to fly. They were all drunk.
Oh my god.
Oh yeah, man.
That's fucking hilarious.
So all those birds that were just sitting around at the end of the movie, they were drunk as fuck. Okay?
God.
Like, all of them were like, oh, I'm going to have a hangover the next day.
Oh, man. Oh, my goodness.
That is my dry throat talking for the better part of an hour and a half.
Okay, so now we know why they were just stand still at the end of the movie, because they're just,
they
hung
had
over from 3 years. They're hung over from 3 years of filming.
Right. They had just been tying it on. Why did we have 28,000 birds? Because about 27,000 of them, they succumbed to their alcoholism.
Yep.
This was AA for birds.
Wow.
Oh my God.
Alcoholic Birds Anonymous, ABA.
That's incredible.
Oh.
Oh my God.
I wonder if they gave any of those birds like alcohol issues. Like, did they end up with like just drunk birds that were constantly just, you find them on the street someday and it's like, okay, that bird was definitely part of that Hitchcock film because he's over there with like a nip trying to get the last drop out of it. Alcoholic seagulls.
A lot of them probably died.
It's entirely possible. You shouldn't be feeding birds alcohol.
No.
I get why they did it, but geez. PETA would have been all over that. Like, no.
And can't they like not process wheat?
No, I think
probably
wheat they're probably fine with.
Okay.
I don't think they were trying to outright kill the birds, but it's 1960. I don't know if they knew.
Yeah, it's like feeding ducks bread. You can't do that.
It's not like I said that they fed them alcohol and Alka-Seltzer. You're not supposed to give Alka-Seltzer to the birds, obviously.
No.
Or rice. Rice they can't.
Nope.
I think my wife may have given those seagulls that stole their clothing at the beach Alka-Seltzer. But who knows?
Drop the bird. I'll give you a pretty little pill.
She may have, but I'm like,
drop the bra.
Oh my God.
Okay. So how would we tie up this film, do you think? Do you want to end it the same ambiguous way?
Yeah.
Where they leave a lot of open questions. They don't really explain why the birds start attacking.
Well, let's do that, and let's give it an alternate ending. Why not? For the DVD, let's give it an alternate ending.
Give it a couple endings, really. You give them one where they explain
nobody gets
things.
out of the house alive.
Nobody gets out of the house alive. Yeah.
Nobody.
Like an ultra bloody ending. I would film two versions of the film. I would film like a PG-13 version and then a hard R version.
I like the hard R version. I'd like to see that.
Like I've seen some people do things like that. Like one of the worst ones ever was Tammy and the T-Rex. They have Tammy and the T-Rex. That is Denise Richards and Paul Walker. That was his first film.
Really?
Or his first lead in a film, in which Paul Walker plays the boyfriend of Denise Richards, who dies, and his brain is transplanted into the body of an animatronic T-Rex.
Okay.
The film was originally made as an R-rated film, so it was supposed to be a lot of blood, a lot of gore, but it was still supposed to be kind of funny.
Interesting.
They cut all the blood and gore out of it and turned it into a PG movie.
Oh my God.
Yes. So
for shame.
It was a terrible, terrible movie, and even the rated R version was laughable because, like, the T-Rex was supposed to be like a claymation almost, and so the far away shots weren't completely finished. So the originals, they didn't like remaster it or anything. They didn't try to complete the animations. They just released it in the unfinished form that it was in, and it looked horrible. You watched that with me.
I think so, yeah.
That was really, really
bad.
Terrible.
I'll give it a look. Tammy
Tammy and the T-Rex. Yes, it was. I love me some bad movies, though.
We're headed to the HorrorCon Washington here in a week, and I believe I saw the guest list, and Denise Richards is going to be there. So,
oh shit!
I might have to ask her about. Hey, Denise, Tammy and the T-Rex. Tell me about it.
Tammy and the T-Rex, and watch her go. Oh my god!
Not this shit again.
Why?
Why would you make that up? I said
just
Cinematic Anarchy. You want to check them out? They brought it up.
Right? I'll send you. You got to send me your address. I will send you some stickers we just had made up.
Woo!
Please. Yeah. Hell yeah.
We're looking to start getting some merchandise together, but like we're waiting to get our like listenership and viewership up a little bit. That's why videos.
Yeah.
Videos. And that's why I dragged you back over here, because we figure your work is worth having a video up there so people can get to know you a little better, see some of your stuff right behind us. Give our viewers a 360 view of that as well. So they can see. You know, don't completely disconnect yourself, but and for those of you who are just listening to this on audio, you're missing something. Go
here. Let me. Right. So you guys can see the.
Yes. Oh, the top. Yep. What was that?
You see?
Yep.
Thanks for letting me do that, Chris.
Of course.
Appreciate that, man. Cool.
So for the people that are listening on audio, you're missing something, jump over to YouTube. This video will be up, and you'll be able to see the 360 view of the spaceship from the film that they had released to the Northwest Flying Saucer Film Festival. Hazard Spaceship, or Spaceship Hazard.
Spaceship
Hazard. That is on the web page for Hazard Valley Films on YouTube as well.
Yep, and Instagram.
And I feel like this is a good point to try to wrap it up just a little bit. We've had a fantastic discussion. We've remade our Birds film. Is there anything else you'd like to tell our listeners before we head off?
No, man, it's always a pleasure. I love meeting Miss B for the first time. It's a total pleasure, and
likewise
for having me. And like I was telling you earlier, I look back and when we first connected, that was already a year and a half ago, which is crazy how fast time flew. And I was still in San Diego. Then now I'm up here in the Pacific Northwest, Washington, enjoying the 40, 30 degree weather here, and it's a change for me from being from Southern California. So no, again, thank you guys for having me on. I love the interaction, the conversation of cinema and film, and we learned. I feel like I learned a lot just by having this conversation about a film we grew up watching or haven't watched it when we were young. So, and maybe it'll encourage, younger generation film fanatics to watch and go back to the 50s and the 60s and watch, things that without those films, these films wouldn't be what it is today.
And
exactly right.
For the love of God, for our younger listeners, whatever younger listeners we actually have, for our younger listeners, please, when you watch a movie that was created in the 50s, the 60s, the 70s, even the 80s.
Watch the black and white versions.
You not just watch the black and white versions, but put the desensitization that you've had with recent films behind. Because if you're going to watch something from the 60s,
it's hard to
understand that you're not going to get the special effects that you get now.
Yeah.
90% of it's practical effects. So if you watch The Birds, if you watch Psycho, if you watch anything from back then, anything that was originally black and white, understand those films are the product of their time. All right? The talking subject's a product of their time. The slow burn of the film, it's a product of its time. Enjoy it for what it is. Don't try to make it live up to the mental standards of the films you watch right now.
100%.
It's hard to not be desensitized.
It is hard not to be desensitized, and I realize that thanks to social media and a lot of other things, we are living in a short attention span world, and it is a unique person that can sit through a Hitchcock film right now and enjoy it thoroughly. And if you are that kind of unique person, we love the hell out of you. reach out to us, like, share, subscribe, all that fun junk. Talk to us because we want to talk to you. I will try to reach back out if you reach out to us.
Do the thing.
Some people just want to ignore. I will start a conversation. We will sit down and have a big conversation.
Yeah.
And that being said, we're going to go ahead and head off into the sunset for this podcast. Say your thing, Miss B.
Alrighty, drink some fucking water, you thirsty bitches.